What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today, we've got some new leaders to talk about. OP-04, they finally started the reveals, and they've gone and showed us we've got there's more than 3 new leaders in the set. There's probably going to be, why would I even guess this? You can literally just look it up on the official website, and it literally just tells you there are going to be 6 in this new set. Alright, it's going to be 6 leaders in the new set. This is half of them, not all of them. Half of them. But I'm not even kidding when I tell you, 2 of these I read them and I went, oh, that's pretty good. And then one of them I read it and I was like, yeah, that's broken. So let's start with that one, shall we? Translations, I kind of did them myself, but then I checked with a lovely Orange Samurai D over on Facebook, who has checked with Helio on the Discord, so we're pretty sure they work. And what we've got here is Nefertari Vivi. And what we've got here is a full-on broken card. I'm pretty convinced of this. Now, what we got is 5,000 power, 5 life, and we got a dual color red and blue leader. And that should be weird. Because there is one exception right now, that is your Edward Newgate, that has 6,000 power and 6 life. Outside of that, we've had a hard and fast rule in the One Piece TCG through the first 3 sets. And that rule is monocolor leaders are 5,000 power, 5 life. Dual color leaders are 5,000 power, 4 life. And the reason you get the 4 life rather than the 5 is because of the advantage you get by virtue of being a dual color leader. That all makes perfect sense. Well, you see here, ladies and gentlemen, we've got essentially another rule being established, because we're going to see this in one of the other leaders as well. You can have 5 life as a dual color leader if you're not allowed to attack, and that is the first important point here. This leader cannot attack, and that's actually a really big deal, because your leader, I mean, look, you've probably played a bunch of One Piece by now, you've probably watched a few games on streams and things of that nature, and using your leader to attack is something that happens like every turn. You use your leader to attack. So the fact that you can't attack with your leader is a very, very big deal. And that seems to essentially be the new rule. You can have a 5,000 power, 5 life dual color leader, but only if you can't attack. That is a huge downside, a gigantic downside, but I think the rule here, the skill here, is going to more than make up for it. Activate main once per turn, rest 2 Dawn, draw a card, and up to one of your characters gains rush during this turn. That is full on broken. Now, drawing a card is good, quite frankly. We don't see that much draw in the One Piece TCG. Some games have lots of draw, games like Pokemon. Some games don't have a lot of draw. This is a game that doesn't have a lot of draw. So drawing a card every turn, very good thing. Not perfect, let's be perfectly clear here. It's still not perfect. It's not, paying 2 Don to draw a card is not really worth it. I don't think that is I don't think that's a particularly controversial statement. But still, having some draw, and let's be clear, that is the bonus here. The bonus is you get to draw a card, and that's quite nice. That's just an extra handy little bonus. Because actually, leaders at draw, we don't have many. We've got the purple and blue Crocodile from OP-01 that Don X1 after you activate an event, you can draw a card if you have 4 or less cards in your hand. But you've got to have 4 or less cards in your hand, and you've then got to activate an event. It's a little bit awkward. And then, of course, you've got the Emporio Ivankov from OP-02, which is if you've got 0 cards at the end of your turn, then you get to draw 2 cards. So 0 cards in hand, you get to draw 2. Which is nice, but again, that's an awkward thing that you've got to kind of work with. You've got to deliberately work towards that. So this is decent draw, but let's be under no assumptions here. It's clearly the rush which makes this broken. And this is why I don't mind the fact that I'm not able to attack with my leader, because giving somebody rush every turn, like Rush Zoro is clearly a phenomenal card. Like everybody knows that Rush Zoro is a phenomenal card. And the Rush Roanoa Zoro really is a case of, it's a classic free cost 5,000 power, like a vanilla character would have, except instead of having counter, there's no counter on Roanoa Zoro, you've now got Rush. Well, with this leader, every deck can now, well, every red and blue deck, because of course they are the colours we're working with here, can all of a sudden have a vanilla free cost 5,000 power character with the 1,000 counter that we would expect from that. And that's just a standard thing that's now got Rush. Yes, you've got to pay the 2 Don, I get it, but remember you also get to draw a card, which is a very, very, very handy bonus. And honestly here, I'm starting to look at the vanilla characters. Because vanilla characters are where you get the best ratio of cost to power. That's kind of where it comes in. You know, if we look at red, we could have a look at Marco. Came around in Romance Dawn. And again, these are all just free cost 5,000 power counter plus 1,000. But you've got that lovely power to cost ratio, which you get higher here than you do pretty much anywhere else. Namul from OP-03. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that terribly. There's another one you can use. The promo Jellyfish Pirates. There's another one you can use. Nico Robin from the starter deck. Works very, very nicely here. And then over in blue, we got a whole bunch as well. Mocha from OP-01 works very nicely indeed. Or we could use Edward Weevil from the starter deck. Would be an option. And there's going to be more in the future, right? These vanilla cards, they keep coming. That's kind of the point. I adore this leader. And yes, I know that you've got to pay the 2 Don to get this working. But giving any of your characters Rush while drawing a card for 2 Don is redonk. Oh, by the way, I should mention, the reason I'm looking at free cost 5,000 power characters is because, remember, every leader other than Newgate has 5,000 power, and the tie goes to the attacker. So, essentially, 5,000 power is where your opponent has to start blocking or countering. Obviously, you can use more expensive, more powerful characters if you so wish to force your opponent to counter more, or you can attack some of your own Don to it. 3-5 is just the starting point, so I like just using that as a nice little example. Make no mistake about it, for me, this is the star of these new leaders. But the other are interesting too. We've got Dressrosa here, and I'm just going to jump in and interrupt myself for a second here and say, it's not Dressrosa, it's Rebecca. Rebecca is the Dressrosa leader that works with Dressrosa cards. I apologize. I know it's Rebecca. I don't know why I kept saying Dressrosa and over again, but I do. So I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. But, you know, I've said my apology right here at the start. So, I mean, if you want to go and leave a comment, feel free. But I just want you all to know, I am aware. I apologise, it's a very silly thing to do. Now we've got a 5,000 power, 5 life character, blue and black. And again, like we saw before, because we've got a 5 life dual colour character, we have a skill that says this leader cannot attack. But we've got an activate main once per turn, pay 1 Don. If you have 6 or fewer cards in your hand, look at the top 2 cards of your deck, find a Dressrosa card and add it to your hand, and then trash the rest. Now, we haven't really seen much Dressrosa in the TCG, because obviously that's coming. Like, the whole point of OP-04, like, Dressrosa is one of the themes of the set, so to speak. So no, we haven't seen much Dressrosa here, but we will, alright? The only one we've seen, I believe, according to OnePiece-cardgame.dev, and they're usually pretty good at this, the Vanilla Bellamy from OP-01 is actually a Dressrosa card. So that would work. But that's like the only one we've seen so far. But again, this is one of those leaders. I don't want to talk too much about it in this video, because honestly, we've not seen enough. This is one of those leaders that's going to start getting good when we start seeing all the Dressrosa cards. Like that's literally the whole point of it. Until we see all of those, we can't really start making any assumptions as to how good this card is in terms of the specific cards it can search. What we can say, however, is paying 1 Don to look at the top 2 cards of your deck and grab one. That's good, ladies and gentlemen. You're not just drawing a card, you're getting the best card out of 2. Although obviously there are sometimes the discard could end up backfiring, so, you know, please remember that. But also, if you're playing a full Dressrosa deck, as I'm assuming a lot of the time you're going to be, then this kind of just turns into a Look at the top 2 cards of your deck, put 1 in your hand, deal. That's good, ladies and gentlemen. That's very, 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 very good. I don't think it's good as Nefertari Vivi, but I do think Dressrosa could be very good here. And again, it really depends on what other Dressrosa cards we get. If we get lots of really good Dressrosa type cards, and this can enable you to basically go and grab the favourite one every turn, that's good. Although again, the fact that it can't attack is a problem, and whereas Vivi kind of counters that by being able to go, well, you know what, it's okay, because I've got, you know, the opportunity here to give Rush and really counter that. Dressrosa doesn't so much. And then we finish off with our old friend Crocodile, not the first Crocodile leader we've had, not even the first dual colour Crocodile leader we've had. But now we've got a Crocodile leader. 5,000 power, 4 life, dual colour, purple and yellow. So yes, Crocodile is able to attack. And on your opponent's turn, once per turn, when you return Don from your field to the Don deck through one of your effects, add a Don from your Don deck as active. This is clearly a purple leader most of the time. Like, thinking about it, it is a dual colour purple yellow leader, but the whole shuffling Don, like, this is your Don minus. Yeah, that's what you're doing here. It's your Don minus effects. That's what you're playing around with. And now all of a sudden, yay! You're covering it. So take something like the Monkey to Luffy from OP-03. On play, Don -1. You may trash a character with a cost of 5 from your hand. And then this character gains Rush. I like using this one because we've talked about Rush a bit in this video. So it's Don -1. So in order to activate this skill, you have to, rest 6 Don to play Luffy and then shuffle 1 back into your deck. Well, this leader would then immediately get it back. Except at this stage, we need to go back to the wording of Crocodile. Because Monkey doesn't work with Crocodile. Apologies to those who didn't notice this straight away. I wanted to demonstrate this point and why it really hurts the leader. Because Crocodile says, on your opponent's turn, once per turn, when you return Don from the field to the Don deck, through one of your effects, add a Don from your Don deck as active. It's only on your opponent's turn. And incidentally, I've double-checked the translation here. That first, I want to say blue box in the text, it does very clearly say opponent's turn. Aite is, well, it actually means partner in Japanese, which is adorable, but in Japanese card games, that's used instead of opponent. It's not someone you're playing against, it's someone you're playing with. I kind of like that a lot more. But the point is, you're not going to be able to use this for cards that you're using on your turn. It is only for cards on your opponent's turn. So, something like Blast Breath, for instance. Counter, Don -1, and for this battle, your leader or one of your characters gains 4,000 power. And actually this is kind of cool, because it essentially, you get the Don back into your deck, but then you play it, and then of course it becomes your turn, and on your turn the Don becomes active and everything's lovely, but it is only on your opponent's turn this actually works. So I still like this skill. It's still a good skill, but the fact that it is limited very strictly to cards that you're playing on your opponent's turn rather than your turn really, I believe at least, really affects the playability of this card and frankly makes me like it a lot less. I should say it is once per turn. So even if you use multiple Don -1 or whatever effects during your turn, only the first one gets 1 back. But if you are using a lot of effects that shuffle Don back into your deck, this essentially gives you an extra Don per turn. And having an extra Don per turn is clearly great. I think all of these have a lot of potential, but I do think Nefertari Vivi, for my money, is absolutely the star. I am going to be very excited to start building around this one. But I want to know what you think. So let me know in the comment section, would you? Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about One Piece and a bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing is always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name is Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.